Hello coders, good afternoon. So today we're going to be starting on the new course. So the new course, let me talk about it for a bit before I jump in. It's going to be PHP registration. We're going to be building a PHP registration form. So you register and the data will get saved in a database, which is MySQL, and then what we'll do is we'll have a login form as well, and we'll also have sort of a secure area thing where we will be able to update the user's profile once they've logged in. So this is going to teach all sorts of different techniques. The previous course that we have, which is the login course, doesn't have a database behind it, so this is more advanced. That does talk about sessions. We're going to be also adding sessions to this one, of course. So I'll be teaching that as well. I haven't done anything. I haven't written anything down apart from I have listed out some possible tutorials or lessons that this course will have. So what I want to do today, just for this hour, is just to pretty much start from a clean slate, and just on the login course thing. So on Sunday, what we did on Twitch is we went through half of the course. We finished up to lesson number 6 on that, where I was going through the whole thing from start to finish, just making sure that everything was lined up correctly. And that's what we're going to be doing on the next Twitch stream, and we're going to finish it. Which is why today, on Tuesday, we're starting the new course. So there's a bit of an overlap. Also, I need to record the tutorials for that login course, obviously. But I was thinking the other day, like, is it going to be a trouble if I have these sort of backlog of videos? And I think it's going to be fine. I'll talk about that more in perhaps a podcast or something random. I have plans, shall we say. So, okay, what I'm going to do is get into the code for the actual template. Now, this is a template that all the courses or all the projects will sort of follow, sort of in a not very strict sense, but they'll kind of follow this as a skeleton. So if I was to go into GitHub here, for instance, we have the course title, course description, URL placeholder here, requirements, installation, and install lessons. So it's it's a very sort of it's a template. It's a template. So you got the docs folder in there, you got lessons, you got install, requirements, uninstall, and whatnot. And based on the login course, there are some things that I want to change. So we now have this upgrade.md file that needs to be added. There will also be a license file as well, but I'm yet to decide which license to use, so that's why I haven't put it into the login course yet. So what I'm going to do is just update this, and we'll just have an upgrade file. I think that's all I need. If we have a look at the project folder, is there anything specifically or generic for projects? No, not really. Not really. It's just a folder, and the docs is images for any images. Oh, sorry. Here we go. In the template, that's what I should be looking at. So in docs, we've got lessons index and lesson 1. That's just fine. And then in the project, that should be fairly blank. Okay, so we just need to add the upgrade.md. So what I'm going to do is just create I'm in the wrong thing here, of course. In fact, I can probably just do it here. Let's do a git checkout -b feature upgrade. And what I need to do is create an upgrade directory not directory, sorry, file. So we'll do a touch of upgrade grade dot md, and I haven't decided yet what I'm going to put in the upgrades, but I think it'll be like a change log of what's changed in the versions. So I think what I'll do is I'll just do a git commit. I'll just commit the blank file for now. Actually, no, let's put something in it. So let's go to nano of upgrade. Apologies. There we go. And we will have, how do I want to do this? Do I want to do it as a table? I want to do it as easy as possible. So let's do change log. Well, I tell you what. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's just go to GitHub a minute and have a look at the Symfony release notes. Symfony. I'm in the wrong place, aren't I? Yes, I am. I am still in the wrong place. Can I explore? Thank you. Can I just do Symfony? There we go. Right, so in here there's a change log, but there's also an upgrade. So that makes me think maybe we need a change log instead of an upgrade. Let me see what is in 6.1. So we have all components, console, routing, serializer, validator. So they use like block headings for specific bits packages, I guess. So let's have a look at the change log. Right, so change log for blah, blah, blah. I reckon we need to have a change log rather than a upgrade path. Yeah, I think that's probably what we need to do, a change log. And their change log is a bunch of gumph, well, not gumph, but a bunch of text, and then just a list of things with hashes against I guess these are PRs, the features. All right, that's cool. That makes sense. So what I'll do then in here is let's come out of this and let's RM upgrade and then do a touch of change log and is it just change log MD that they're going for? No, it's change log and then the I think we're good just to have changelog.md. There we go. And then we'll do a nano of changelog.md and following convention, changelog for blah, blah, blah. So we will do in here changelog for 1.0.0 because that will be the first thing, and the changelog will be added files for project, I guess. Cool. Oops. The reason why I'm doing this is because these projects that I'm building, I will be upgrading and updating, for instance, when the version of PHP changes, or if I'm using any dependencies and I want to update those, then I need to somehow document what I've done. And what will happen is that once the project is finished, I will tag it as a version, and then allow the people who have the course to download the latest version, but also download previous versions as well. So yeah, that's essentially what I want to do. So we're just going to do a git commit of this. So am of adding changelog. So, gosh, git add, sorry. I don't think I need to do an upgrade because you're not really upgrading from one thing to another. It's just like, it's just a different version, isn't it? It's not software that someone would install. It's a project that people will be learning from. So you won't be upgrading it. You'll be just, using the latest version. So anyway, git commit of adding changelog. Right, now we can actually get back to, if I push this up, sorry, and of course I need to set the upstream. Always forget to do that. So what we can do now is merge that in to the master. That's fine. Create a pull request, merge it in. Everybody's happy. All good stuff. And then I can create a new course using this as a template. So let's delete that branch. Let's go back over to how to code well here. Repos, new repo, and I believe it. Yeah, private. Here we go. Changelog temp. No, that's not that. Here we go. Template. Course template, and we want to do course. Now, let me remind myself. Oh, PHP login. So let's do PHP register. Register. PHP login, PHP register. Registration, I think is probably better. Registration. Cool. Okay. PHP registration course. Good. So let's create that. Hey, Dev. I'm good, thank you. Hope you're well. Thank you very much for joining. And also, Kalander, thank you very much as well for coming on board. Okay, so we've created that now. And what I can do is download it. So let's do that. Come out of you. Let's now go out of this. Actually, let's just clean up. Git branch. Yeah. Let's do a git checkout. No, all the things. Come off. Git checkout of master. Git branch. -d of feature. Is it features or feature? Feature upgrade. There we go. Deleting that branch. Right. Let's get into the actual stuff, shall we? Let's go into CD, come out of this directory, and we should have a courses directory, CD courses. Yep. And in here we've got the course PHP login, but what we want to do is clone, and always forget that that doesn't come with, whoop, oh no, oh dear, git clone. Sorry, there we go. Clone that in. And then in PHP Storm, I want to create a new project. That's not PHP Storm, Pete. That's not PHP Storm at all. There we go. File, or just open Sesame. Come on, where's my open dialog box? Here we go. Go into code. Yes, I'm creating a course. Give me a second. Give me a second. There we go. Right. So yeah, let me pedal back a little bit. What I want to do specifically this year, or the start of this year at least, is create courses for how to code well. And when I create them, what I'm planning to do is to plan and create the courses live through YouTube, and then once they've gone through a number of passes. So the first pass will be to create the course. The second pass will be to go through the documentation of the course live, building it from scratch. So you create the course, then you do it again from scratch. The third pass will be to try and do the whole thing in a very short amount of streams. So, for example, the login course that we've got going on, that should be finished in hopefully the next stream or the stream afterwards. The whole course is finished, but I'm still going over the documentation with a fine-tooth comb just to make sure that I haven't got any typos or anything crazy in there. And then what I'll do is do the recording of each of the lessons. So that login course has 10 lessons, and then that becomes a course. Today we're starting a new course, which is the PHP registration course, which will have PHP, obviously, HTML, CSS, and a database behind it. So we're kicking that off today. And what I've done is I've created a template repository for the documentation and the project setup for all the courses. So what I just did earlier is I just created a change log. The idea being is that when you download the course, you'll be getting it from like a zip file or something. And each version of the course will be like tagged to, like, say version 1.0.0 using, Semver versioning. And what I would like to do, because these courses are going to be, updated by me whenever there's like package changes, I want to offer the ability for people to download previous versions of the course. Hence why I have a changelog. So that's why in the changelog I've just got, added files for project, because that would be the first version once the version is completed. So what we'll do now is just go through all of this is just placeholder stuff. Whereas if I was to show you what we've got on the login course, if I was to open up the login course here, it's the same. It's running off of the same template, but obviously I've completed it. Like, I've completed the course. So, there's lesson 10, there's lesson 6. There is the first version, which I built this last weekend. Off of the back of the last stream. And then, so we've got a docs folder, and then we've got a projects folder, and then we've got a my project folder, because what I would like is for when people download the course, I want them to get the actual project, so the project from the completed project, and then I want to, in the documentation, I want to talk about how to actually build the project. That's why we got the my project folder. And essentially what we'll end up with is the my project folder will be a replica eventually of the project folder. So I don't think I've updated this, but if I was to have a look at, say, lessons, and then like lesson 2, for instance, the documentation, my project. So this is the documentation of building the project. Is that setting up the login form? Yeah. So this is what we're going to do in these streams, is just basically build the course from scratch. So that's the login course. Let's get rid of that for a second. Let's just bring that down there. And I've hidden the other one, which apparently isn't showing now. Brilliant. There we go. All right. So, okay. So README. So course title, we'll change that. Well, first of all, we're going to create a branch. We might as well do this within here rather than the other terminal. So wait for that to come through, and git checkout -b feature. Let's call this docs. And then what we want to do is on the course title, we're going to do so anything that's like wavy is like stuff that I need to replace. So like the wavy lines here. So we replace everything in there because this is just a placeholder. So this would be PHP registration course, right? That's the name of the course. And then the course description, if I was to, do I not have both projects running at the same time? I don't, for some reason. That's annoying. That's changing the project from one to the other. That's not what I want. I want both projects to run together. That's a bit frustrating. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, right, course description, URL, requirements. Let's leave the description for now. That's always better, I find, to fill it out after the course is sort of like halfway through, because then you start with an idea and then that often changes and evolves. What I'm interested in today, though, is just trying to get the ideas for the lessons on the paper. So with this, where we've got lessons in this course, a lesson and then title, what I'm thinking of, if I was to load up my notes here. Yes, here we go. So we have the first one, which is going to be lesson number 1. Lesson title. That is going to be project setup. Then what we have is another one, which will be, lesson 2, obviously. And I'm thinking that will be creating the register form. So that's going to go to lesson 2.md, which obviously we're yet to create. And then lesson 3, will be to create the login form. So at the moment we're just building HTML and CSS. So creating the login form. So nothing too out of the ordinary right now. Then we want to deal with the profile form. So what I'm thinking is that after you've created the form to register, you then have to log in. And then once you log in, you go to a specific area that will allow you to change your name. So this will be called the profile. So profile form. Now, these 4 all of these lessons will be a video. Okay, what's the 5th one then? So the 5th one will be, so this is now where we start getting into some back-endy stuff. So lesson 5 will be connecting to the database. Connecting to the MySQL database, and that will be lesson 5. Lesson 6, once we've connected to the database, we can create the users table. Now I was considering doing this in the project setup. So, you've set up your project, and this, what I mean by project setup, it's creating things like the folder structure and stuff. We're also going to be using PHP Stan. We're also going to be using PHP Unit. We're also going to be using code sniffers and stuff. So there's going to be a bunch of composer work in the project setup anyway. I was considering doing some of the database setup, but I think in terms of the flow, it might be better to just deal with the database stuff once the forms have been created, because then you've got something to use. It's not like jumping into Composer, then jumping out of that, getting into the database, then jumping out of the database, then getting into the HTML forms, and then getting back into the database. dealing with Composer, building up the HTML. Once the HTML is done and the CSS, then it's all about, it's almost like grouping them, if that makes sense. So number 6 is once we've connected to the database, it is creating the users table. So the users table will have like the password hash, the username, which I haven't decided to be an email address yet, but if we did use an email, we could have email validation. Where I said earlier that it's best not to do the description straight away because things start to grow and evolve. But that's an idea. We could use the email address, which would require some email validation, which would itself be a lesson. Interesting. But there'll also be the name of the user as well, and that's the thing that I want to change. So anyway, creating the users table will be lesson 6. Lesson 7, what will that be? So lesson 7 will be about registering the user. So once you've got the HTML and the CSS done, once you've got the form built, we can then register the user. And so I guess that would be called inserting inserting a user record. Like all of these lesson titles are up for discussion. They may change. Lesson 6, lesson 7, and in my experience, the whole ordering never is the same when you start. So, okay. So inserting a user record, we could. I mean, that's obviously going to be a SQL query. And I think what we should do is probably have a lesson about the SQL query outside of the lesson of the PHP, I think, because I need to also teach sanitizing input, validating user input and stuff. So maybe what we do is we create another one here called register. Register a new user or something. I don't know. Like I said, all of this is up for debate. Any courses coming in Laravel framework? So, yeah, I am trying as hard as possible to not to use any frameworks. As hard as possible not to use any frameworks. Partly because, like I said, I want to keep this updated, so the more dependencies I have, it's going to be the more work that I need to do in the future. So I am going to try and not use frameworks in this set. Also because I think I want to target people who want to learn PHP, who've like not used PHP before or have a very basic understanding of PHP and want to learn the raw PHP before jumping on a framework. I think that there is a definite need there. You know, like I said, sanitizing user input, like I just said, building forms, not using a templating engine, that kind of stuff like Twig. Or connecting to a database and not using, say, Doctrine or Eloquent or anything like that. I think that is a skill. And I think then after this, we could have, say, in the future, maybe in a couple of years, you know, because these do take a long time for me to build. I'm a contractor by day, so I don't do this I don't do any of this outside the streaming, for instance. So these will take time. But what I'm saying is that like this could be the first stepping stone to, you know, a course that's titled, you know, register in PHP in Laravel or Symfony or Slim or Falcon or whatever framework you want to put in. But for now, because my time is limited with how much I can do with How to Code Well, and because I'm so busy anyway, I want to try and keep the dependencies down. So if I can keep the dependencies just to, say, the PHP unit, PHP stand, basically auditing tools and CI stuff, then I will be very happy, because that means that the changes will be few and far between. Okay, so lesson number 7. Where am I with this? I should really make my notes a little bit bigger so I can see them. Yeah, definitely. I've got ideas for courses in the future. I've got crazy ideas around, the DevOps stuff as well, Docker, Kubernetes, all of that good stuff. Yeah, but I think before I get into that, I need to build the beginner stuff first. Register a user. That's that one. Okay, so select a user record. There we go. That's lesson 6, 7. Hang on a minute. What have I done? I put in 2 6s. That's why. So that's lesson 7. That's lesson 8. Lesson 9. Wow. Lesson 9. We have select user. Select a user. So again, this is going to be a query. Select a user record. That's lesson 9. Lesson 10. And I also think that once I have these courses, these sets of like beginner friendly courses, I can then reference them from the future courses, from the advanced courses. So I can say things like, we're going to select a record like we did in the previous course, but this time we're going to be using Doctrine instead. And then I can talk about the differences between Doctrine and Eloquent and all that jazz. Lesson 10. Okay, so we would select a user record to log in a user. So log in a user, and of course behind all that we would have your sessions and all of that jazz. That's cool. So now lesson 11. Yikes, we've gone over 10 already. Is to update a record. So update a user record. So that's lesson number 11. And then lesson number 12 would be updating user profile. So that they kind of follow a very similar pattern in this. In the sense that I'm going to show the query, and then I'm going to show how to do it in PHP. I'm going to show the query, show how to do it in PHP, show the query, show how to do it in PHP. Yeah, because there's different things involved here. So when you register, when you're inserting a user, that would be what you would do when you register a new user. So with that, you've got all sorts of things like, validating the username, the password, also doing other things like checking that there is no other user with those credentials. So maybe you would lean on the selecting a record. I don't know whether to do, maybe I should do the insert, the select, and the update all together, as in like 3 tutorials consecutive, and then do the PHP afterwards. Decisions. I don't know. Like I said, this order and list is going to be up for grabs. I do think that we need to have a specific lesson for validation. So this is going to be lesson 13. So this is validating user input. That's quite important. Now, I think maybe that should go there. So we have lesson 11, sorry, is to update the record through SQL. Lesson 13 is to validate the user input, and then lesson 14 would be to update the record, I think. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we should do validating user input. Maybe that should go right at the start, actually, because it should also be done, obviously, when you on insert. So maybe that's what we should do here, actually. Yes, that makes more sense to me. So lesson 8 would be validating user input. Lesson 9 would be registering a new user. That makes sense. Lesson 10 is selecting a user record. Lesson 11 would be to log in a user. Lesson 12 is to update a user record. And lesson 13, have I screwed up the numbering again? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, that's fine. 13. That's cool. The Trongate framework. I've never heard of it, ever. Wow. Trongate. What is that? Am I spelling that right? T-R... Yeah, I am. Trongate framework. Breaks the rules. Break the rules, use Trongate. Hey. Okay. I can't say I've ever heard custom CS library. Can't say I've heard of this. V1 Forever PHP framework. Trongate is free forever. If you like Trongate, please give Trongate a star on GitHub. Okay. No, I can't say I've ever heard of this one. Automatic installer. No command line, no Git, no composer. What? Hey? Okay, no, I don't want to watch a thing. That's a bit worrying that they've got those ads on the right. But anyway, who's to judge? Is this oh no, not a member, a member. No, I don't know. Have no idea. Is there any docs? Community. Learn. Documentation, there we go. Basic concepts. Understanding the routing. 404 pages. Okay, show me code, please. I'm going well off of a tangent here. Let's do controllers. Structure of a controller. Extends Trongate. Role number. Okay, so fine. Oh, that's not. I like it when it talks about what things are, rather than this is a controller, and this is how we do the controller in our opinionated way, but doesn't actually explain what a controller is. Okay. What do you do for templating? How do you create your own? This looks incredibly like old school. database interaction. The get where. This model get where 3. Okay. I'll have to have a little bit more of a look into this. I mean, that's certainly very verbose, isn't it? Get where 88 fish. Select all from members with ID of 3. ID of 3. So that returns. Please note the query shown above is how the query would look before binding. Yep. Nice. I'll have to have a little look and play with that. That's another thing to do. Never heard of it before. I don't really have time to look at the Reddit, so okay. Right. So I think we've kind of got a very basic structure here. Project setup, creating the register form, creating the login form, connecting to the database, creating the users table, inserting a user record, validating a user input, registering a new user, selecting a user record, login a user, update a user record, updating a user profile. Okay, I think that's pretty much good, at least for the first pass. So I think what we'll do on lesson 1, we'll start filling out all of these things, I think. So with lesson number 1, again, this is the template. So lesson 1, this will be project setup. Again, I'm just going to copy all of this. So that's lesson 2, and just change the title for now, because all I want to do is just create the structure today. Sorry. So lesson 2, lesson 3. It's not new, is it? Lesson 4. This is making me think that I need to have a bash script that will just build these files. He'll just read the index and go, "Oh yeah, you want 13 files, do you? Okay, all titled lesson underscore and then the number." That's pretty simple. But no. So 7, this is 8. Oh, that's 9, 8. 9, nearly there. So I don't think, like, based on the previous course, I don't think this will be done for a very long time. This is what we're going to be working on in the next, like, good few months, I think, on the Tuesday show, I think, because I can see this already getting legs, and me making decisions as to, you know, I want to try and keep these tutorials down under at least half an hour. So there may have to be a decision on some of these where I have to split them out into smaller little lessons. Okay, so let's bring this up onto the right hand side, and then let's get into like lesson 1. That's project setup. Lesson 2 is the register form. So that's lesson 2. Lesson 3 is creating the login form. Lesson 4 is I'm gonna need to eventually create a script that'll just do this, because there's a lot of stuff like boilerplate stuff that I'm having to do, and it would be nice. Maybe that's something that I would do on the Twitch stream one Sunday, is just to come up with some bash script that will look at the contents of the index.md file and then generate files that match the it's when I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue, because all it is essentially a regular expression, isn't it? I say only a regular expression. What's the thing? What do they say when you've got a regular expression? You've got more than one problem. Where am I? Lesson 5. So lesson 6. Yeah, so it will be like looking at these and going, okay, there's a number, there's a colon. Okay, so then that's the title within that block. Or I could even look at this. Yeah. That's a project. Lesson 7. Inserting a user record. So lesson 7. So we'll come up with a schema as well. Live. I really haven't given this a huge amount of thought, because obviously my head's been in work and also in the other course, so I haven't really. But it would be nice to, like next Tuesday, to hit this with the ground running and get on to lesson 1 and get that sort of scoped up. Lesson 9, and the way I do this, or have been doing this, is basically trying to take a lesson at a time, and I will document it and code it at the same time. And then when I've finished the whole thing, I will then rebuild it. And the last time I did that, I did this on, so I'm on a Mac at the minute. The last time I did the whole rebuild was on a WSL. Hang on, I've screwed up. Login a user, it should be lesson 11. Yeah. Yeah, so I did, I used Parallels to make sure that I could get this running in WSL. And I think that's probably what we'll do, because in the installation notes, I need to have, you can do this in Mac, Linux, and Windows. Which brings me to another point about the setup, the whole requirements. Because in the requirements section, if I just close all these, we have, let's close others, system requirements and user requirements. So this really is kind of like what you need on your system, and then what you as a learner need before you enter the course. So one thing I'm not going to teach in this is how to set up a MySQL, as in how to install it, because that's going to be very different for the different platforms you're in. It's going to be different if you're on Linux, and then it's going to be different on the distributions of Linux that you could be on. It's going to be different for Mac. It'll be different for the different versions of Mac, and then it'll certainly be different for Windows. So one assumption that I'm going to make is that the user already has MySQL running on localhost, which is a bit frustrating, because it's not overly beginner friendly. But the thing is, setting up MySQL from nothing is actually quite a chore, depending on which operating system you're using, of course. So system requirements then. First one, well, let's look at PHP. So PHP 8+. Then we have MySQL. we could do 8 plus. And we'll have that MySQL 8 plus running on localhost. So not in a Docker container, nothing like that, or on AWS or wherever you put it, just off of your local host. I don't want to add any complexity to this. So this is where I really need to go over to the other project and compare notes. So if we go to the course, for the login course, what did I have? It's in docs, it's in requirements. We had PHP 8 plus all the thing, some stuff. Oh yeah, Xdebug, Composer, Windows, and IDE. So we'll steal this. We don't need that. We'll steal that at least. So and we'll go back over to the U, and we'll paste that in there. So we want Xdebug. We want Composer. We want Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. Browser, I'll be using Chrome. IDE, I'll be using PHP Storm. In terms of the PHP system, PHP requirements, though, I think we will need to have PDO, obviously. Yeah, let me have a little look and see if there is a specific. Give me a second whilst I think it comes in as standard, does it not? I think I can just get away with saying PDO enabled. Sorry, I'm just having a little look. Yeah, PDO installed. I think that's fine. Yeah, it's really difficult. Oh, I enjoy it though. I enjoy it. There's a lot to think about. For like longevity of the courses. What I don't want is to have courses that just rot and stuff that just doesn't get updated. One thing though that is really important is to so I've set it all to PHP 8, which is great, but one thing is important is to archive. This is why I have the version requirement, the versioning that I'm thinking of with the changelog, because there's like for instance, right now I'm in my contracting space. I am working on a PHP 5.6 project. So there's what I'm saying is that there'll always be demand for knowledge of legacy things. So at the moment I've set this to PHP 8 plus. I could, if I wanted to, go back all the way back to 5.6 or even lower. But I've decided that 8 is the latest and greatest, and we'll start from there and we'll go up forward. But I would like to upgrade this to like PHP 9, 10, and all that jazz. Also, I have to consider MySQL when the versions change on those things as well. Also, I need to write tests for this. So with the logging course, we have automated tests through Composer, which I will deal with in this course, obviously. And I also have this running off of a continual integration server as well, the logging course. If I was to make any changes and commit those, the whole course gets rebuilt from start to finish, and the Composer runs and the tests run at least. So fingers crossed I can't break it. And I'm thinking, like, in the future, it would be lovely to have the changelog being automatically generated by the commits and the merge and the put PRs, merge requests into this. So where I've got here like added files for projects, I would probably squash all of this into one PR, or have a PR with one merge squished that just has that as the commit message, maybe. Anyway, so system requirements. I think that's good to start with. Then we've got learner requirements. What I would like for the learner is to have a quote-unquote basic understanding of creating web pages. So that's kind of like my sort of, catch-all sort of, what is a basic understanding of creating web pages? Then we get into some rather more technical things. So basic understanding of what like HTML is, that kind of stuff, CSS, they're not coming to this without any knowledge of those things. I guess I should say basic understanding of creating, which includes, I guess we could do includes CSS, HTML. Not going to use any JavaScript. Creating using, let's just do using here. Right, now in terms of PHP, should I be saying that they need to know sessions, or am I going to teach sessions? I taught sessions in the logging course, but I can't expect everyone to just suddenly go, oh, I need to do that first. So I guess the question is, do I want to reteach something but in a different context? I guess there's no way around that, is there? I kind of have to, which means that the learner requirements need to, if I want to make this a nice beginner-friendly course, then they really needs to have a very low barrier of entry, which means that things like PHP sessions that would need to be taught. Maybe that's all I have for learner requirements right now. Let me go back to the other one for reference again. I don't know why, but it seems to like switch this whole project and then rebuild everything, paint the screen. Odd. Scroll down here. Learner requirements. Have a basic understanding of the command line. Oh yeah, need that. Have experience of creating basic web projects. Have basic understanding of PHP. So that's how I did it. I'm just going to steal you. I'll change it, obviously, but I want to try and keep things sort of consistent. So basic understanding of the command line. That's all. That always is a tricky one. Right, let's get rid of that and replace it with that. Right. Okay, have experience creating basic web projects. Yes. Have basic understanding of the command line. Basic understanding of the command line. Yeah, because I'm not. Yes, yeah. Maybe it's the same. Maybe it's the same. Maybe it's the same. all of this is up for debate, right? All of this is up for debate. We won't worry about the install or the uninstall today with the README, because we don't have anything to install or uninstall yet. So do we have an index lessons in this course? How to install the course. System requirements. Have a basic understanding of PHP, HTML, and CSS. Have experience with creating basic web projects. Have a basic understanding of the command line. So they'll need that for Composer. Am I teaching Git too? That would be the cherry on top. No. Git warrants its own course. Git warrants its own course. So what I'll be doing is like in the other course, I have in here, I have things like git ignore, git ignore. I've got something else, haven't I? I've got maybe it's on another branch, but I've also got a GitLab CI file. I don't teach those. I haven't taught them in this course. I've mentioned them. So in the docs, in lessons, is it lesson 1? Yeah. So I've mentioned it. If you intend on storing the project in a Git repository, you'll need the following .gitignore file in the my project directory with all of that stuff. So I've mentioned it. I haven't explained what it is, and I haven't given any kind of like yeah, I mean, Git is just quite a huge chunk in itself. Right, let's get back to one thing I have noticed is that I've called this lesson 0. Lesson 0 being course introduction. That's what we need, a course introduction. Huh. I can't believe I nearly forgot that. In fact, let's take it from that file, actually. Sorry, let's go back over to how are we doing for time? Okay. Right, I think what I'm going to have to do, just because we've run out of time already, I will just do a git status let's get into course registration, git status, yikes. I will do a git commit -am, adding doc files and lesson structure. And what we'll do next week is we'll start filling out lesson 1 and maybe lesson 0 too. Git status, make sure that's all gone through. Yeah, let's do a git push. Yes, the upstream. I always forget to push to origin. Cool. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. We've just run out of time. We've literally just run out of time. But cool. Yeah, so we'll start on that, and then maybe we'll start cutting some code. Who knows? Maybe. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. Thank you very much for your contributions as well. I really appreciate it. I just having a look at the comments here. it's like CodeIgniter. Oh, that brings me back. Yeah, I did some CodeIgniter back in the day. All right, take care, everyone. Cheers. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.